Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the 88 Technical High Threat CQB course I was able to take earlier this week. First off, the High Threat CQB is basically based off of Israeli limited penetration. This course was taught by Phil Cheney, one of 88 Technical's instructors, out of the great state of Ohio. And in his words, they pretty much Americanized the shit out of traditional Israeli-based CQB. So I don't really know what true Israeli-based CQB looks like as far as what it's in great detail, but I do know what the 88 Tactical High Threat CQB, at least the basics of it is. The course was basically, I guess you'd call it a 2-day. It was basically 1 day of practical, and another day was basically a PowerPoint format as far as the High Threat CQB, and basically a classroom portion. Where they show you a bunch of videos of shootings and so on and so forth, where it shows what your body actually does when you're actually getting engaged prior to entry. And what you find is, if you look up these videos, is that whenever guys will stack up on a house, whether it be here or overseas, and they get engaged at the door, typically what guys are being taught is to go ahead and do a dynamic entry, whether that be strong wall once you get in or opposing corners or what have you. The basics is the same, that you enter into the room relatively blindly. Some programs are teaching threshold evaluation, which is certainly a good thing, value added for more information. But in large part, there's still places that are teaching guys running the buildings and running the rooms blindly. And what happens is when those guys get engaged prior to entry, they stop. Just what the human body does under the whole body alarm response, right? So, I'm not saying there's no videos out there where some high-end operator is running into a house even after they've been engaged at the door. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I'm not familiar with anybody that's seen it, and I challenge you to find that video. And if you find it, hey, please put it in the comments below so I can share it to folks that also have not been able to find it. So, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find it both here or overseas. Certainly here, but maybe overseas. I'm sure there's some SEAL Team 6 or somebody's got some kind of combat footage that we'll never be able to see, but I'd be willing to bet it's probably out there. But the training level up there is so high, it doesn't parallel with any teams here inside the United States, anyways. But pretty much the coursework, whenever it got to the practicals, I'm not gonna go too far into it, but we did a little bit of positional work. A lot of guys had not seen Temple Index. So on the second class that I'd seen Temple Index in, the first one was with Sage Dynamics, Eric Cowan. This is the first shoot house course or CQB course that I'd taken where Temple Index was encouraged and used. And it is used in good effect for very good reasons. Obviously, when it comes to working with teams as far as getting your muzzle out the way and doing so in a safe manner. Other positions that were covered, some of them were high ready. A lot of guys are using high ready nowadays. A lot of guys still using low ready as well, so we did a bunch of position work on that as well. Prior to going into the house, once we got to the house and Phil got into the actual course work on how you're negotiating these buildings, he pretty much went in a format of single room clears with single man. Then we progressed from there once guys got that down to 2-man, and then the 3-man. Once we got the 3-man, we rehearsed that pretty much for the majority or the second half of the day. Until it got to actual breaching, for the actual breach point for whatever on the residence that we did at. We were lucky enough to actually be able to use a house as opposed to actually having a shoot house, like a separate shoot house that's sterile. We were able to use like an abandoned house, an actual residence, actual walls, actual bathrooms, stuff that you find here in the United States, very common in pretty much every residence, right? Maybe not so much overseas with mud brick houses and such, but such is life, right? That's not that's not what we are. That's not what I'm living. Whenever I'm doing structure clears, I'm dealing with residences and businesses, so on and so forth. So being able to actually use a real residence certainly helps with that, I think, without a doubt, as opposed to just shooting sims in a shoot house or live fire in a shoot house. Doing it in an actual house. And that's one thing that I highly encourage. If you guys are setting up for a home defense, getting your plans together, whatever, clear your own structure. I mean, if you don't know how to clear your own structure for whatever prescribed method, I think you should look into the high threat CQBs as a home defender, because first and foremost, you're not going to run blindly into a room, right? So why would you train that way? Which is how most places that are going to train you is probably going to train you to run blindly into the room, even as a singleton. It's not, bad juju. I'm not a fan of it. So I think you guys should check out the high threat CQB program for sure. If you can, get into a course. If you can't, just do the best you can as far as checking it out. Do some research, but until you actually get to a course and get trained on it. And that's one thing that I found. Whenever we were doing stuff, we would do basically limited penetration at the threshold, and then go to more dynamic. Even though I was familiar with the high threat CQB program, but I had never been trained in it. Now that I've been trained in it, it's kind of changing from threshold evaluations to more of a I guess to more of a high threat CQB is pretty much the best way to do it. More of a true limited penetration, I guess you could say, throughout the house, throughout the entire structure. Now, keep in mind, for a frame of reference, I'm a patrol cop, right? So, not really worried about the hostage situation unless it's something she just came up on. But I'm not going to get called on the radio to a hostage situation, right? If the radio, if a call comes on the radio for a hostage situation, they're going to call probably a state SWAT team, probably where I worked. That's just the reality of it. So as far as hostage rescue, that stuff, whatever guys are doing, team guys, hey, roll with it, But I think for the singleton, at least in my paradigm, my current paradigm, it works very well, and I've fully adopted it. Hopefully in 2018, when I come back from all this military training I'm fixing to go through, that I'll be able to take the 4-day. Hopefully also I'll be a firearms instructor by then. If not, hopefully shortly after that, maybe 2019, 2020, hopefully at the latest. And hopefully I'll be able to incorporate this for our department-wide, as far as a more Americanized traditional, or not traditional, but a more Americanized CQB, or limited penetration high threat CQB. So hopefully that's how it goes. That is currently what I am hoping, at best. Worst case scenario, I'll just show guys, what I've learned throughout the course, and hopefully once I take the 4-day course, basically do kind of a, not a trainer, but kind of train the soldiers, so to speak, if you want to call it that, train the officers, right, or anyone that will listen. So you guys feel free to rate, subscribe, and comment. For sure, if you're a singleton or a home defender, I would check out the high threat CQB. I think it's got probably a lot more to offer you than a lot of other CQB programs, as far as the home defense situation goes. So feel free to rate, subscribe, comment. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below, and you guys shoot safe. Peace.